So I'm sure you've seen by now that late Thursday night, Nintendo took to Twitter to unveil a brand new first-party Nintendo Switch game that will be out in the month of June. There's a lot of history with this Switch game because you might remember, if you keep up with all of the rumor mill, speculation, and leaker talk online, that we learned about this project about a year ago. And now we know Everybody 1-2 Switch is slated to release on June 30th, and in today's video, we have to go over the implications of how Nintendo revealed this title, the fact that we have no trailer or lead up to it, and the broader conversation of what this really implicates when it comes to the likelihood of seeing any kind of mainline Nintendo Direct presentation now that the game has been officially revealed to us. And I want to get on the same page with all of those details right now. What's up, nation? Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification if you haven't already. And as mentioned, guys, today we are talking about the latest out of left field first party new Nintendo Switch software reveal, which is none other than Everybody 1-2 Switch. I personally couldn't care less about this game. I'm not going to pick it up. It's one of those that if you really enjoyed the first one, maybe you should have some level of interest in this one. I feel like the first 1-2 Switch was kind of more of a novelty with the Joy-Cons, since that was the brand new push from Nintendo at the launch of the Switch, and it actually sold decent, over 3.5 million copies. But again, it was also at the launch of the Switch when there was a much more limited software library for the Switch. We now find ourselves well over 6 years into the console's life cycle, and let's just say there are a lot more options. And it's also interesting the way that Nintendo took to kind of market this game, because you know that it was just a shadow drop announcement, and we will dive into that piece in a second, but it also does not have an official trailer. You will be looking at 1-2 Switch footage on screen because we don't have any actual gameplay footage of this game yet, and it's out on June 30th. We also know, according to reports, that this game was essentially done for a full year now, so they've clearly had time to get marketing promotional material up and running for it, but they chose not to. It definitely seems like a game that Nintendo's not confident in. There was a lot of talk online around this game last June when it first hit the internet that Nintendo might even consider adding it into Nintendo Switch Online due to the poor playtester reviews of the game. They might actually give us a free first-party Switch game for the first time because they just weren't confident in it. Well, now we know that it will retail for $29.99. It is getting a physical release and an eShop release. And to first get on the same page with all of the details around the release announcement, as well as some of the details we learned from last year's reporting on the game, before we talk about the broader implications of how this could affect any kind of Nintendo Direct presentation this month, let's quickly hop over to VGC and read through their detailed typed up article together. Nintendo has announced Everybody 1-2 Switch, and it's releasing this month. The party game sequel can be played with Joy-Con controllers and smart devices. Set for release on June 30th, the title is a follow-up to 1-2 Switch, which was released in March 2017 as a launch title for Nintendo's latest console and has gone on to sell over 3.5 million copies. The game, which Nintendo has reportedly been sitting on for over a year, is now available for pre-order from the eShop, priced at $29.99. Get together in groups and compete in a host of weird and wonderful minigames featuring everything from balloons to aliens and more, reads an official product description. In those games, you'll use your Joy-Con controllers or smart devices in fun and unique ways, earning points for your team. In time-honored fashion, the team with the most points gets to claim the glory. Nintendo said it plans to share more information about the game in the near future. Fanbyte first reported on Everybody 1-2 Switch last June. At the time, it said the title had a game show-like theme and might support up to 100 players. Rather than simply adding more minigames for the sequel, it's claimed Nintendo EPD Group 4 wanted to set the new game apart from its predecessor, which supported up to 2 players. It's said to have eventually settled on a direction inspired by Jackbox Games, developers of the Jackbox Party Pack series, which includes a variety of games playable by large groups using phones, tablets, keyboards, or controllers. So again, this game's not up my alley at all. It will be interesting to see how Nintendo pulls off the smartphone device integration as far as the gameplay and how it talks to your smart device. We've seen a number of patents with Nintendo focusing on technology like this, and now it's in Everybody 1-2 Switch, which is out later this month, that we still haven't seen any footage of, mind you, but I do think it's really interesting as far as how Nintendo revealed this game and the timing around it specifically, because if you're like me, you've probably been paying attention to any kind of Nintendo Direct potential announcement. You know that historically we do see them align with E3 in the summertime and put on that early June Nintendo Direct mainline presentation. That has been heavily called into question this year, primarily due to the fact that we saw them not align with E3 and straight up say it didn't fit their marketing plans in terms of the time frame, and we also saw them not participate last year and put on a mini partner showcase and do some smaller Twitter drop reveal style game announcements like this. Now, I don't necessarily think that everybody 1-2 Switch being revealed is a 100% for sure statement from Nintendo that we cannot get a Nintendo Direct that is a mainline focused one, but I do think it's the biggest piece of evidence that we have seen that suggests that so far. And I have personally been more on the side of expecting something like a mini partner showcase to be held towards the end of June, especially with all of the reports that Nintendo likely has a lot of third-party titles lined up for this middle and end part of 2023, and we know that they are shifting focus to what is next when it comes to a successor to the Nintendo Switch, as naturally this is already an extremely long console generation for Nintendo, and we should expect them to start to move on to a true successor for the Switch platform before sales really start to fall off a cliff, because while it is still selling very strong, it is also hitting that market saturation point where you are seeing Nintendo adjust their forecast down and state that it might even be hard to hit their 15 million forecast that they've projected for this fiscal year. I've seen a lot of interesting opinions online saying that Nintendo wanted to get ahead of this everybody 1-2 Switch and get it out there because they didn't want to bring down a Nintendo Direct presentation with a sequel to a game that probably nobody wants. I definitely don't agree with that opinion. I actually think that Nintendo would feature this gameplay at a Direct, and they would reveal the release date at a Nintendo Direct if there was a mainline one planned. I think that the standalone Twitter announcement, while it doesn't completely rule out the possibility of having a mainline Direct, as I said, I think it is the biggest piece of evidence that they probably won't be holding one, and these smaller Twitter drop announcements is what we will see to get us through the June period that we now have a game from Nintendo first party, even though it's maybe one you personally are not interested, or maybe you are. Then we have Pikmin 4 to look forward to in July, and we might get a smaller game for August, at which point we will be back on track for the traditional mainline September Nintendo Direct that I am fully expecting to take place in September, and that is likely when we will find out the broader plan for the rest of Nintendo's year and even early next year as far as new games, and potentially we may even know what the new console looks like, or at least have some kind of commitment from Nintendo on when they will bring it to market. But when you have one of the strangest first-party software lineup release schedules that we've had in probably the entire Nintendo Switch generation thus far, you have a lot of reports suggesting that Tears of the Kingdom was the last big heavy hitter game on the Nintendo Switch platform before they shift focus to what's next, and then we see this giant lull in releases as far as first-party games from Nintendo. I think that this paints a pretty clear picture that we are at the end of the Switch era, and we will likely not see Nintendo stick to that traditional 3 mainline Directs this year either, and we'll rather see third-party titles carry them through the summer primarily and get back into more of a 1 or 2 big holiday games from Nintendo to close out this year. And I do believe that early 2024 we will likely be talking about official next-gen hardware potentially having a solid date and able to go pick it up. But that's my stance on this. I think if anything, I am more on the side of not expecting a Nintendo Direct to take place in June in terms of a mainline event. A partner showcase seems like a shoe-in. I definitely think that Nintendo will keep to its obligations to promote its third-party titles on the platform, and I think that we get a late June partner mini showcase like we saw last year, but that traditional Direct seems to be more out of the question for me personally, now that we've seen this official announcement from Nintendo for everybody 1-2 Switch, a first party game that is coming out in the month of June, when they could have easily slotted that into a Direct. But I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, your personal thoughts and opinions around this announcement. Are you like me and you think that yes indeed this does paint more of a grim picture for a first party mainline Nintendo Direct over the summer, or do you think that this is indeed just them getting one of the games out of the way that they didn't want to spend much time on at that presentation, and it's actually, if anything, good news for all of the other software that they have lined up, because they didn't want to take any time out of their presentation for this game. So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell. I will see you guys in the next video.